Sudmeyer and the afternoon show band. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You know, our next guest deals with items that could be considered fantasies or nightmares, depending on how you feel about ghosts. In the movies, they call them Ghostbusters, and they have all kinds of great equipment and outfits. In real life, they are called parapsychologists, and they dress just like the rest of us. Would you please welcome Loyd Auerbach?
Ghostbuster music to bring
That's
you
great.
in. Lloyd, have you ever seen a ghost?
No, I haven't. But I've had psychic experiences of other kinds.
You have?
Yes, I have.
Well, don't you have to know what a ghost looks like to be able to bust them?
Ghosts look like you and me. They just don't happen to be solid citizens in the end.
Oh, little play on words there.
But you have never seen a ghost, but
No.
yet have people called you in to, like, exorcise a ghost out of their home?
Well,
or
we don't really call it exorcisms. We don't do exorcisms in the field of parapsychology. We typically investigate what's going on to try and find out why people are seeing a ghost. Whether or not there is a ghost there is impossible, really, for us to determine.
Even though you've not seen a ghost, you do believe that there are people who have seen
Oh, absolutely.
apparitions. Or what is the difference between an apparition or a ghost and a poltergeist? Poltergeist sounds somehow evil.
It's been made evil and sinister in the movies, and what it really amounts to is having objects disarrayed in the house. It's almost like having a psychic housekeeper that throws things in reverse. And what we think a poltergeist is, our model of it, is that people have the ability to move objects with their minds. We call that psychokinesis. It's often called telekinesis, more popularly.
I mean, you could take this cup with water in it and think it back that way?
Under certain circumstances, people have been able to do that. It's not something that's controllable.
have you ever done it?
Have I ever done it?
Not
Yes.
maybe a cup, but you've moved something?
Yes, I have.
And you can't do it for us now?
No, no.
What did you move?
I can't suggest to people that they move, of course. But
Tell us about your experience with moving an object.
it was just a simple situation. I have a tendency to have psychic experiences when I'm very, very bored. So what happened was...
Oh, God, I hope he doesn't have one now.
If you go into one now, we're in trouble.
I was sitting at a dinner table and was extremely bored and sat and thought I saw a crystal ashtray on the table move. And sat there knowing I'm also a magician, so I know the ways that people can be deceived by their own perceptions. And I thought, well, I'm very bored. I must be so bored that I'm having just seeing this thing move a little bit. And I just sat there and watched very quietly for about 5 minutes as it moved about 1.5 feet across the table.
You don't
How
take
are you-
drugs, do you? No drugs?
No drugs.
No drugs.
How are
No
you,
alcohol.
How are you sure that you were moving it and not somebody else at the dinner
I
party?
can't be absolutely positive. It just felt like
you-
it was coming from me.
You didn't say, okay, move
No.
left or
I just
anything.
more or less thought that was very interesting. Let's see if you can move a little bit further.
If any one of us were to see a ghost, what should we do?
Ask him why he's there.
Ask, and now ask him.
Or her.
Her.
Or her.
You say, why are you here?
Why are you here?
Uh-huh.
Most people have a tendency to get frightened and run, and that's when people get hurt, is because they're afraid. A lot of...
Not by the ghost.
Not by the ghost. They get hurt
Tripping
by
over
themselves.
furniture
Running
and
into a wall, passing out because of sheer fear. And in many cases, people have seen these things, these apparitions, don't even know that they're ghosts until they disappear. They very often do look like, occasionally even living people that they know. And just when they just happen to vanish before their very eyes.
How do you get rid of one?
Ask it to leave.
What if it
Literally.
says, I'm not moving?
Then old Henny Youngman jokes work very well. Actually, the idea that we think, if there really is the mind of someone that can exist past the death of the body, if that's a real possibility, and that person has come back for whatever reason to talk to you or to communicate, it's important to try and find out what that communication is, and to simply try to act as if that person was a real person. I mean, the psychology of a person after death, according to many people who have had these encounters, is pretty much the same as if they were actually physically there. They just may not have a body. That's what it amounts to.
Have you ever had seen a ghost or had one in your house, or Ellen?
No.
Never had an experience
No, I
with
was
a ghost.
thinking. I think that's fascinating. And I would love to see a ghost. I don't know if I would ask them why they're here. I don't know if anybody would be calm enough to just say,
Typically not.
why are you here?
But you'd be surprised, a lot of people actually have experiences and they encourage whatever it is they're having, that experience. They like having that ghost around. In England, of course, it's important to have a ghost in your house, otherwise you're not anybody unless you have one.
We'll take a
realize
commercial
that.
break, maybe come back and explore that a bit. More of Loyd Auerbach right after that.
And we've got you asked him a fascinating question in the break.
I sure did. Would you like to ask it again?
I wish you would.
Here I go. I asked why some people come back as ghosts and some people don't. What is everyone able to, and some people just miss this life so much, or do you think it's a matter of passing on to different levels, or?
As a person in the field of parapsychology, that's something that's impossible for us to determine, really. You can ask, in the situation, the people who are in communication with these ghosts, to ask them, and very often they say they're here because they want to be, or they don't even know that they're dead. This is according to the people who are having the experiences. Many times the spirits don't seem to know that they're dead. As far as science is concerned, we have no objective proof that there are such things as ghosts. All we have are subjective experiences that people have, and they're suggestive that there really is life after death, but until you take that final step.
And you've had out-of-body experiences, haven't you?
Yeah.
With a old girlfriend, or is this?
This is with a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Explain what happened, because it's really...
Clothes out of the body.
Well, I mean, I think it was.
What are you thinking in this audience? Come on now.
But weren't you out of your body viewing?
What happened was there was a friend of mine who lived a good 50 miles from me. This is when I was living outside of New York City. And on 2 occasions, I was seen in her house. The first time by her daughter and herself and their dog. I interacted, actually showed up there.
But you weren't there.
Well, I was home in bed, asleep. And I remember the next morning having a dream about the situation. And she called me and said, "Did you dream about me last night? Because you were here and told me you were dreaming about the situation." About 2 weeks later, I was in another very boring situation and found myself almost feeling like I was in 2 places at once, where I was in her living room having a conversation, and the last thing I said to her was, "Write this stuff down, because when I talk to you in a couple of days, I want to be able to compare notes." And that's the first thing I did when I got back, if you want to consider that, and our notes matched.
They matched?
They matched.
Unbelievable.
So she's in the home now? Yeah.
She moved away from me to Texas.
Oh, no.
Suzanne, you had a question.
Yes, I'd like to know, is it possible for a spiritual to take over like a mortal?
A spirit to?
Spirit to take over
Take
a mortal.
over.
You know.
To possess.
Okay. Well, in the cases that we've really looked at in this field, in all the investigations, there has never been a situation that indicated that someone was actually possessed by a spirit or another entity, or that someone was even influenced other than perhaps listening to information coming in and going along with that. We find, however, that people are often possessed by their own inner demons, what we call the subconscious mind, most often. And that's the dangerous part.
Did you have another question,
Well, I was
Ellen?
just saying that there was a situation here today where Ross was possessed by asking me that pony question. There was no reason for that, and something just took over, so I
It's
understand.
an inner demon.
Yes.
Out
Right.
to get you,
That's
possibly.
right.
Edward, you had a question.
Well, it's an experience that I've had ever since I was a child, on spirits and the sort. And recently, well, I own a recording studio, and sometimes when I'm recording, it's like the spirit starts to generate in a little dark corner, and I can feel it, and I'll look there, and I'll just see, I don't know what to call it or anything.
But
it
it
just
follows
gets-
you around?
It follows me around.
Ever since you've been a little...
Ever since I was little.
Look behind you.
No, but it's on the, I
It
usually
is the
don't
same
tell it.
spirit.
I don't know whether it's the same spirit or not, but I was always afraid to tell people for fear that they think I was nuts or something. You know?
I understand.
Does it frighten you?
It used to, but now, like you said, well, I usually ask her, well, what do you want? You know, and when I'm sleeping, sometimes it bothers me, and I'll just wake up and I'll say, just leave me alone, okay?
That's the best thing to do.
And
The
it
best
goes.
really is to believe in your own personal abilities to fend off anything. We all have psychic abilities of some kind. We can all block naturally, subconsciously, or even consciously, and it's just a matter of telling it to bug off.
Yeah.
So often in the middle of the night, you're bothered, and you have to say,
How often?
leave me alone.
Robin, you had a question.
Oh, I just wanted to share my experience. I lived with a ghost for 3.5 years.
You
And-
lived with one?
Yeah, in this house in upstate New York, very old house. And to go along with what you had said earlier, I dealt with it by saying, look, I know you're here. These things are happening, but please don't show yourself to me, because I personally was afraid of that. And we seem to coexist very well.
Did he pay half the rent?
No, but he probably didn't turn the lights on either.
I want to mention that Loyd Auerbach's book, ESP, Hauntings and Poltergeists, a Parapsychologist's Handbook, is available in all the major bookstores. Please stay with us. When we come back, we're going to meet a young star from the hit series 227. Stay tuned.